Hey guys, and welcome to Little Black Book 91. We are sitting down with Calvin from Ready to Love Miami. Yes, it's the first time we've reached Miami shores, and this is our first, I don't like saying contestant, who has joined us on Little Black Book to talk about their experience, their journey on Ready to Love. But you already know how we do things on this side of YouTube. We like to get to know the individuals first. We want to know who they are, get to know about what their life has been like before they decided to join Ready to Love. So, Calvin, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. I'm blessed. I'm here.
That's what I like to see. So the arms are arming. Yeah. Armed and dangerous you are, sir. How many times a week do you work out?
Um, 5, 6. I rest on the Lord's day.
Okay, I need to just work out my arm a little bit. You know what I mean? Maybe I should change my top.
You look good, man. You look good. You look
I
good.
appreciate you, Cap. You too, man. You too, Cap. All right. Well, before we go into anything, like I said, festivities, we like to first and foremost do some human verification. This is where we want to make sure that, Calvin, you're actually human, you know, because you might be a robot, you might be a hologram, you know what I mean? So we want to make sure in this modern day and age. So just a few questions just to test that out. My first question to you, Captain, is favorite color?
Blue.
My man, that's what I'm trying to say. I know this is gonna be a good conversation. Blue's a safe color. All right, blue. We like that answer. Second question is: if your plane had to do an emergency landing somewhere, what country would you want it to be in, and why?
Jamaica.
Ooh, okay.
Yes. I am Jamaican. So I love it there. I love the food. I love the culture. So I'm biased. So I would definitely have to say Jamaica, so definitely Jamaica.
Nothing wrong with that at all. Jamaica is a great place, and Ghanaians and Jamaicans have a good history
Yes.
together.
Yes.
So I understand. We're gonna dive into that a little bit as well. I like that, Captain. It's good to hear that as well. And final question: milk or cereal in the bowl first? Which one would you want to go in the bowl first? Which one would you choose?
Always have to be cereal because I don't like my cereal over soaked with milk. So little by little, little by little, moderation.
Okay, okay. I'm
Because
allow you on that still.
if not, I'll probably if I put the milk in first, I'll probably eat the whole cereal, the whole box.
It don't matter. It's gonna go to your arms. It don't matter, sir. It's going to your arms. Well, oh, gracious. Well, I think you've passed the human verification. We are set and we are comfortable that you are human. And so we appreciate that. So we want to dive into some conversation. So let's ask this question. Calvin, who is Calvin and what is your particular story?
Wow, that is a good question. You put me right
Take your
on the
time.
spot. Calvin is, I'm not actually from Miami. I'm not from Florida. I'm from New York. So I moved out here almost 4 years ago. So I moved out here, and I moved out here because New York helped me to survive. I came to Florida to live. You
Love that.
know, so at this point in my life, I'm just trying to live. I'm just trying to find my way, trying to evolve into who I am and who God made me to be at this point and at this stage in my life. And just trying to adapt to that, to pivot, to adjust, and to elevate.
Love that. Love that. Oh, I love that. You definitely are eloquent in elevate pitches. I can tell you're seasoned. I love that. No, that's cool. I like that as well. So okay, so you're not originally from Miami. Wait, did you say you're from New York? Is that where
Yes, I'm from Jamaica Queens. Gotta be Jamaica
wow.
Queens, of course, right? It only
You're
makes sense.
Jamaican, right?
It only makes sense.
I mean, it's given what it's given, you know what I mean? Nothing wrong with that at all. Nothing wrong with that. Okay, so take us back there then. So obviously Jamaica Queens you grew up into. What was it like for you growing up in Jamaica Queens? What was the experience like growing up in Jamaica Queens?
It was hard. It was hard. My mother brought us over here from Jamaica at a young age. I have an older brother. So 16 and 18. She had my brother when she was 16, had me when she was 18. And then she came to the States at 20 years old. So it was hard. We struggled as a child. We struggled with a lot. You know, I give my mother all the props in the world. You know,
Love
I
that.
didn't meet my dad until I turned 40 years old. So it was just always my mother. And she was that person that created the whole foundation of everything, gave me everything, and did her best, you know, but it was always hard. It was always struggle, being in the hood, being around certain things, trying to figure out what I supposed to do as a man, and not really having that right guidance around us.
Mm.
You know, going to the bodega and seeing the drug dealers, those are the people that I admired. You
Mm.
know, those are the people I thought was cool because they had the fly girls. You see my age because I said the word fly, right? So it had the fly girls. It had you know, the nice cars, and they had the jewelry. So I wanted to be that, you know, not understanding that that wasn't the right way to go. But, you know, by the grace of God, it you know, I've had some people come into my life and really help me to navigate me. Don't go this way, go that way. You know, don't
Mm.
do this, do that. You know, from my cousin to my pastor to the people around me, and they really help, you know, keep me out of trouble because over there was the projects, over there was the projects, and over there was the projects. So
Mm.
we was in the middle, and everything was available for trouble. You know, and I know it wasn't me. I know it was all God, to be honest with you, because it's not like you know, I ran around with people, and I've in situations that, you know, could have got me in deeper situations.
Mm.
I know my life was spared for a purpose because of God, you know,
I love that.
because of, you know, there's things I'm supposed to be doing, you know. So I thank God for that, as well as my mother and the people around me that helped me.
I love that. And obviously, just picking up on what you just said, obviously, you said, obviously, you thank God, you thank your mother as well. I noticed, obviously, that you didn't add your father into there as well. So, was your father, did you grow up with your father? Did he pass, unfortunately? What was the story behind yourself and your father? What's the relationship like there?
No, you know, my dad is still in Jamaica. You know, I didn't have never had a relationship with my dad. I went to Jamaica when I was 40 years old to meet him. And it was a cool conversation. We had, you know, I got to understand, you know, I went there with a lot of hate. I went there with a lot of anger. And, you know, not really understanding. He was also a young man that had a child with a young lady. So it took me a while to understand that he was also trying to navigate himself through life. He was
Mm.
trying to understand. So, you know, although it was a little challenging not having that father figure around, maybe my belief was that he wouldn't have been able to be a good role model for me because he was still trying to get to a certain stage in their life. So God had to remove him out of my life, you know,
Mm.
so that it wouldn't get into the way on what I was supposed to be doing. Because, you know, bad credit is sometimes worse than no credit,
Mm.
you
Mm.
know, so that could have been bad credit for me. So it took me a while. You know, honestly, I grew up having a lot of insecurities. I grew up having a lot of regrets. And, you know, I treated women, I treated people the same way. What you don't overcome, you become. So as
Yeah.
much as I was trying not to be my dad, I was becoming him.
Mm.
You know, I was
Mm.
running away from relationships, running away from people. Like, all right, but not understanding that I was. It was a repeat behavior,
Mm.
and I had to. I had. That's why I had to see him. When I got a chance to see him, I had that aha moment where
Mm.
I'm like, I got it. Now I understand why I do the things that I do, and it made me say I have to fix it now moving forward. So seeing him was exactly what I needed at that point in my life.
Mm. Do you know what's so powerful that you mentioned that? I mean, I definitely agree with you. Whether the parent, whether the father figure is there or not, somehow, some way, you tend to pick up the characteristics and
Yes.
some of the behaviors of that individual
Yeah.
person, whether they're there or not.
Right.
Especially for us as men as well, our identity is
Mhm.
shaped around the influences of other men in
Yes.
our life, whether it's your father figure, grandparents, or men around you and your environment. Your identity is kind of shaped by those men who get to have some input within you.
Yes.
Um, and you mentioned something. You said you was angry, and I love that, 'cause that's an honest feeling, and I think a lot of men can resonate with that. When you say you was angry, what was that anger stemming from for you? What was that anger about for you?
I think it was the unknown, right? Like I didn't, at that point in my life, I didn't understand how you cannot want to be around your son, want to be around your child, and it was that I just didn't have the answers. I couldn't figure it out. And I could honestly say, when I went to see my dad the first time, I went to go see him when I was 39 years old, and he didn't show up. And I understood why he didn't show up, because I had my iPad at the time, and I had a bunch of questions, and all the questions is why didn't you show up? Why didn't you call? Why didn't you come look for me? So I understood why he didn't show up, because God let me know that I had unforgiveness in my heart. Right. So I was still holding on to something, and that's the time when God was like, oh, this ain't gonna work. You have to let that go. So the second time he showed up, the second time he was there. And that time, all I did was talk. I had a conversation with him about life, about us, about happiness, about God. And it was right then and there, God was like, you did good. Like, you let that anger go. So I had to let it go before I saw him, and it worked out in my favor.
Wow. That's deep testimonies, man. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, as a fellow Christian, I can see how God is working through those kind of situations there to teach us important lessons. I think also, just from even the short amount of time we've been talking, it's about 5 to 10 minutes. Something quite interesting that you do, which is I think is a bonus positive, right? Which is you're taking lessons from all situations. I think you're an individual that takes a lesson from all situations, bad, good, negative, whatever. You take a lesson from it. And I want to even ask, because obviously that time between that year period where, like you said, was it a year? You said was it a year? The gap between when you first that year period. Was it as smooth for you in terms of coming to terms with I'm angry and having to shift positions to now becoming to a place where you can just freely ask questions? Was it much of a shift for you?
I have to so thank God for my pastor. Like, he was my spiritual dad. He recently passed away last year, but he gave me so much. He poured so much into me. He helped me to understand what it meant to be a man. And when I came back that day, when I didn't see my dad, I cried. Right, I was emotional.
That's deep, man.
I felt abandoned. Because for me, I was trying to understand, why didn't he show up? Right, like I don't have kids running around. I have a good job. I've never been to jail. I'm doing good for myself. So I couldn't grasp why. And my pastor literally, he hugged me. My pastor was the first person, man to man, that said, I love you as a man. And it didn't come across, in a certain type of way. And he made me feel love. And he sat me down and he explained it to me. He told me about my anger. He told me about my unforgiveness. He asked me, what did I have written down? And he gave me the clarity that I needed for that. So he bridged the gap for me. He helped me to understand what I'm trying to be and what I need to do. And it was because of him why I went back. And it was because of him I was able to understand, what was going on. And it helped a lot.
Love that, man. Thank you for sharing that, Cap. Just it's a powerful thing. I think as men, it's good to hear, that you were able to take a course that, was a positive course. It's painful, but there was some purpose in the pain in terms of your growth that was, different. And to hear, because that's the part that was like, I was like, wow, that's huge, because although it's a year, it's not a long time. It can feel like it's very short, but it can also be a long time depending on your perspective. But to do that complete shift, especially like yourself, you said you've grown up without your father for such a long time, and you do have questions, and someone else someone else in there, someone else could be watching this and be thinking to myself, yeah, I got bare questions. I've got so many that I just want to be answered because it is a missing piece in one's life for so long. Like, you know what I mean? So, I can definitely appreciate the honesty that you're bringing to the table there as well. I'll go for it. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, no, like I said, I thank God for the people around me, that was able to help me, because I wouldn't have been able to do it, to be honest with you. It wasn't me, because I came back an emotional wreck. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I came back, I was embarrassed too, because I told everyone that I was going to see my dad. So when I came back, my text was going off, my phone was going off, and I hid. I didn't want to see nobody. I didn't want to go to church. I didn't want to tell nobody what happened.
Wow.
And my pastor reached out to me when I didn't show up for church, and he sat me down and told me not to be embarrassed and told me to give myself grace and give him grace. And, he really poured into me to make me really, really understand. So he really got me out of that dark place, because I was at a dark place at that time when that happened, to be honest with you.
You see, I'm intrigued now. I want to know more, because I think as you're explaining the story, you're giving us, I think as black men as well, sometimes we don't give ourselves the room to be free with what we feel. Like when you said you came back, you cried, you felt embarrassed. Like, obviously, yes, your pastor reached out to you. What would at that point in time when you've come back off the plane and you're back in, back in your hometown, and like you said, people are now texting you asking how it's going. Obviously, before and after that, obviously, your pastor reached out to you. What's going through your head? Like, what's going on in your mind? Because, like you said, you felt rejected, abandoned, embarrassed. What's going through your head as well? What more is going through your head, if you want to say?
No, I was going through confusion, to be honest with you. I was just so confused. My mind was just running a million miles an hour. Like, I went to Jamaica with a young lady I was dating at the time, and I couldn't even enjoy myself with her. And she tried to help, but you know how it is. Like, that wasn't her responsibility as much as she tried to help me. And I was just confused. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what the next move was at that point in my life. Like, what am I supposed to do now? So I came back with more questions than I did answers. All those questions I had on the iPad.
It's longer.
Yeah, they doubled.
That's fair. That's fair. Okay. No, that's real. Oh, wow. That's real. So, okay. So then, for you now then as well, like when you're growing up, and you're having to, like, say, figure out life, why didn't you dabble then in, going into gangs or mixing with the wrong crowds? Or maybe you did, I don't know. Maybe I'm even assuming. Like, what was it like? What was that like for you then? Did you dabble in anything like that? Did you just manage to miss that out completely? What was it like for you?
Yeah, I was never really in a gang, but, I rolled around with the wrong people at the wrong time, but it felt right. It felt right when you feel like you don't belong, when you're trying to find your way, when you're trying to figure out life and you're trying to belong. And I didn't know at that time I felt abandoned, right? Like, I didn't know I was suffering from abandonment, right? So I rolled around with the wrong groups of people, and it felt good I got to a certain stage in my life in high school, where I was popular. So I wanted every girl in high school, in middle school. And not because I wanted them, I just wanted to hear them say yes, right? Because I've been hearing no so much, not realizing that was my insecurities. So I was trying to give them attention so I can get attention. So I think Biggie said it best when he said, you're getting high off your own supply, right? So I was getting high off of that, wanting to get these women because I thought it will cure my insecurities, not realizing that it didn't cure my insecurity. It just made me more insecure. It made me want it more and more and more. But I felt full, but empty at the same time. Filled with attention, but empty with what was needed to nurture me, to make me into a better man. So again, running with the wrong people, meeting the wrong women. And I used to look at them like, oh, they're the ones that's insecure. They're the ones that are insecure. Not realizing that it was me that was insecure. not realizing that I was trying to fill that gap, because at the end of the day, the common denominator was me. So whether it was Lisa, Angela, Renee, it was always Calvin. So I had to navigate through that too, because when you're growing up and you don't have like the best influence, or you're around certain things, that's what you see, that's what you heard. Go get him, boy, that girl looking good, right? So you like to hear those claps, you like to hear those words of affirmation, but no one's really telling you like, go get an education, right? Go invest, right? Go get yourself right. Go get your spirit right. Because I didn't get into church until I was about 30 years old, right? I didn't meet my pastor until I was about 30 years old. So, there was a gap of that puzzle. You ever had that puzzle where you see the box and you see what the puzzle is supposed to look like, but you empty it out and you put it all on the table, and now you're trying to figure out the pieces, right? And then you're like, this doesn't belong. This doesn't, what it looks like, but you can't figure it out. You just can't. No one's telling you that don't belong there. Don't do that. So it was a lot of, I can honestly say there was a lot of trial and errors. I hurt a lot of people in my life, and I remember my pastors did something one time, and I'll never forget this. It was one time we was in service, and he told everyone, he said, I need you, if you ever hurt anybody in your life, I need you to go back and apologize to them. I was like, I ain't doing that. This gonna be all day. We're gonna be here all week.
It's real though.
Yeah, and I didn't want to. But he was putting it back on us, on me. And when I went back to apologize to the people that I hurt, it really made me, people that were married, people that were moved on with their life, they literally told me, Calvin, thank you. I needed that. And it just made me understand the magnitude of hurting people and not wanting to do that again. So I had to change. It forced me to change. It forced me to want to be better.
You know what I love about this, because I think people don't really understand that kind of growing up with, I guess, wanting attention, right? So I think people misunderstand some of those thought patterns, and I think you quite explain it quite well from your perspective as well. And even just to add on to what you said, I remember I wouldn't say when I was even younger, but when I was growing up in school and stuff, none of the girls were seeing me. I mean, to be honest, I was in a friend zone so much, man. You know what I mean? I had a passport for that place, man. You know what I'm saying? I was visiting regularly. And, then you go through your own particular phase where you grow up, or you begin to become more attracted to the ladies. And it's like, especially if you grew up in a household, like my father was there, but I always say that the emotional aspect wasn't necessarily there. So then now you grow up and then, like you're saying, you see people you see other guys getting girls, you see the guys who are being cool and being lauded, and you know what, you wanna be like them. You know what I mean? You want to be popular. You want to have women who are liking you, who are interested in you. Nobody wants to be ugly here, okay? So nobody wants that, you know what I mean? So then when like you said, when you do get to that place where the shift happens, and I love what you said there, which is you just want to hear yes, or and a lot of times you don't even necessarily want the girl, but what you want is, I just want to know that you want me, because that makes me feel good. You know what I mean? That makes me feel like somebody's desiring me, you know what I mean? Which has been a change from what I've experienced beforehand. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
That makes a lot of sense. You hit it right on the head. You hit it right on the head. And it wasn't really even I wasn't even trying to do titles. It was a month-to-month lease, right? So for me, it was catch and release. I wasn't even trying to get involved. I didn't want that. I just wanted to feel like I was accepted. You said, I heard no so much of my life. I just wanted the tide to change and hear yes. But I went at it the wrong way. I heard a lot of people during that time, because while they were in it for titles, I was in it for my insecurities, trying to fill in a gap, and at that point in my life, I didn't understand the magnitude of what I can be doing and how it could affect somebody. I was being selfish, to be totally honest with you. I was like, whatever, that's, you fix it, So again, I was becoming I was becoming what I was trying not to become.
Let's
I was
become.
becoming that person. So.
I hear that, man. That's real. Okay, yeah. So obviously, then grow up in growing up, going into education, um, you know, going to high school, going into what was that like for you, like high school wise? I know you obviously turned into a bit of a handsome brother, but how was high school? How did you navigate high school? How was that for you?
It's funny to be popular, right?
Mm,
Popular
that
isn't
shift.
always ain't always a good thing, right?
Mm.
Because
Why'd you say that?
because sometimes if you don't have, I think was it Kanye? No one man should have all that
All
power.
that power. Mm-hmm.
Because if you don't know how to apply it,
Ooh.
then it isn't good.
Mm.
So what was happening was it felt good to be popular, but it was the little boy in me that was still
Mm.
there, right? Like didn't understand it. So I didn't use the power in a good way. I used it in a negative way. Again,
Mm.
to attract women or to people thinking I was cool. And on the outside it looked good, but on the inside I was still suffering.
Mm.
On the inside I was still hurting. On the inside I was still confused. So I wasn't using it. So when I was in high school, I never went to class. I went to lunch period every lunch period there was because I wanted to be around the popular girls. I wanted to be that popular guy. I was too cool for school. So I
Mm.
thought, right? So I got kicked out of high school. you know? Yeah. With one credit after 4 years, one credit.
Damn.
So then and that's how God. So now here I am out of high school, the place that I was using to be popular. Now I got to pivot again. What am I going to do now? What
Mm.
am I going to do now? I don't have the place. Now I got to face me. So I literally was home and had to face me. And it was hard trying to figure out where am I going to go? What am I going to do in
Mm.
life? And by the grace of God, that's when things hit me. School became more important to me. Went and got my GED, then went to college, got my associates in social work, and then got my bachelor's in psychology and human
Love that.
development. Like it hit me. Things started to that aha moment. And I was like, damn, it took me longer to get there. And
Mm.
that's what I mean about not having that person around that can help navigate you. Like, don't do that. Don't do that. That's doing a shortcut is going to get you shortcomings. But because I didn't have that around me, I had to take the long way around. I had to try to
Mm.
figure it out on my own. And figuring out on your own sometimes when you don't have the right resources or somebody telling you that ain't gonna work, you know, sometimes that's the route you have to take. Sometimes you have to, you know, play the cards that you're dealt. So I played them.
Mm. Mm. What was that? What was it? What was it like? Tell us. Took us through that journey then, from when you get kicked out now, and then coming to that revelation in those moments. What was that? Tell us about that journey that you go along in that space.
Yeah, it was hard, man. It was hard. My mom's is working two jobs, going to
Mm.
school. So she's not there. She doesn't know what's going on. She's thinking I'm in school, and she don't got time to be focusing on us, right? Like she don't, and I get it. And now I'm sitting there like, how am I gonna do this? What am I gonna tell her? What am I gonna do? So I had to be real with my moms and tell her like I got kicked out. I got kicked
Ooh.
out, and she
What'd she
was,
say?
I thought my mother was gonna be mad, but she was so disappointed, right?
Mm. That's the worst one, bro. Mm.
Yeah, she was so disappointed, and I saw it in her face. Like, she's out there busting her butt, doing the things that she needs to do, and meanwhile, she's trusting me that I'm out there doing the things I need to do, and I wasn't. I wasn't. So, I had to try to figure it out. I had to
Mm.
try to pivot. That was a pivot point in my life where I had to figure it out. And I was like, all right, mom, I'm gonna go get my GED. I was actually gonna go. I was gonna go into the army. I forgot about that.
Wow.
I was gonna go into the army, and I took the tests. I took everything, and right when I was getting ready to take my physical, they found out I had a hernia.
Oh.
Yes, my mother didn't want me to go to the army. She was against it. But I was like, what am I going to do? If I don't go to the Army, I'm going to go to jail. That was my mindset.
Yeah.
And it was right then and there, right? I took everything, and I was supposed to go to the Army, and it didn't happen because I had a hernia, so I didn't pass. So that's when the GED came in, and I was like, that was God. I didn't know God at that time. I didn't have a relationship with God at that time in my life. You know, it wasn't until later on in life I figured it out. And once I got back in school, once I took my GED, I loved education, business school. Like, I'm in there, paralegal degree. Like, I'm getting everything now. I'm like, I want it all. You know, and I literally, things started to click for me. The puzzle. You know how you put that puzzle together and you're like, aha, I see it. That's where that piece goes. The puzzle started to look more familiar to me. The picture started to play out in life after that. You know, so.
What would you say is that what was the driving force thing? 'Cause I know you said your mum was disappointed, and obviously you failed the Army. But what was the driving force? You know, to even get to that place where you're like, you're loving education, you're loving what you're doing now. Like, what's the driving force behind that? Because it's still quite a shift. You know what I mean? Again,
it was no longer. There was no longer distractions. When I did the GED, I had to do it at home by myself.
Wow.
Right. So I had to read the book. I had to take the test, and there was no more women around for me, and that was always my distraction. I was like a fat kid at a candy store. Right. Once I got around them, I didn't know how to act. I didn't know how to, you know, I wanted it all, you know, and I got rid of all of that. So I started to put myself in a position where I wasn't around that all the time. From playing sports, I played a lot of basketball, a lot of baseball and football. It kept me away from getting myself in places that I had no business being in. You know, so it kind of forced me. I almost had to force myself to stay away from it. It's not like they weren't there, but I tried to discipline myself as much as possible. And sports helped with that.
Wow, that's a turnaround indeed. That's a turnaround indeed. Okay,
Yeah.
I like it, man. I like that. Okay, so then obviously you get your GED, you're going into business, you're going into, you know, you're learning about these kind of, you know, new avenues now, education-wise. When do you start dating again then, Calvin? When do you start dating again?
Wow, my first girlfriend was, I can't even remember. I was in my 20s, like official girlfriend. I didn't know what I was doing.
Just naive and green, bro. Naive
Yeah,
and green.
I don't know what I was doing. But I remember, I will never forget one thing that happened. I still had that anger. I still had that jealousy. I still had that demon inside of me, right?
Yeah.
Couldn't release. And I will never forget something she said to me. We would argue a lot. We would get into these fusses and fights. And she said something to me, and I was like, yo, what's wrong with you? Why are you doing this? Why are we arguing? And she said, this is you. This is who you are.
Ooh.
I'm only giving you what you showed me. Let me tell you, I said, wow. It hit me like a ton of bricks. I said, you're right. And I left. Because I realized I didn't love me. Because I didn't love seeing that when she showed it to me. And I needed to go fix me. And she showed me me. And I was like, I don't like that person. So she gave me a rude awakening that I would like. It hit me like a ton of bricks.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was a tough but a well needed like smack in the face. And that's one thing I always took from that relationship. It really showed me she gave me the man in the mirror. She showed it to me. She was right. Because when she said it to me, I said, you are me. You are jealous. You are like, she showed me.
Wow.
You know, so I had to walk away from that because I realized I didn't love myself. I didn't like who I was becoming. I didn't like who I was.
When you always say like you know you had to walk away and you had to kind of like focus on you yourself. What did that look like then for you? You know, having to walk away and focus on yourself. What did that look like?
Again, I felt like I was still trying to find that roadmap. I didn't know where to go. I didn't know who to turn to. I had people around me that kind of helped me. I have my cousin. His name is Andy. Like he helped me. He took me under his wings. He helped me to get my first job. He helped me to, teach me how to drive. All of these things. He helped me. And he did the best he can, trying to help me to understand the things that I needed to do as a man at that stage in my life. But we both was trying to figure it out. It was still women. It was still being popular. It was still working in the mall. It was still, being trying to be fly. It was still, we were still trying to figure it out, both of us. He was older than me, but we both was the same, doing the same things. But it felt good having a partner. He was older than me, so he would help me. I would watch him. That's really what it was. So he taught me from more example by watching how things happen to him, and then he's like, "Don't do this. Don't do this.
Don't follow my footsteps.
Yeah,
don't
follow
me,
my
boy.
footsteps. Hang with me, but don't be like me." And I so appreciated him for that.
Wow. Okay, I'm hearing you strong. Okay, so like for you then, you that relationship ends. What would you say? Let me put this correctly in a proper English, I guess. For you then, obviously, after you learn that, your man in the mirror moment, you kind of you grow from that moment as well. What's dating like after that? Because obviously now you've had that kind of revelation. What's dating like after that? How did it go after that?
It was easier. I've been in 2 6-year relationships, so I've been in long relationships, but I still wasn't where I needed to be as a man. Right? I still wasn't financially secured. Like I wasn't secure in any aspects. I was working out, so physically I felt secure, but that was external. So financially I wasn't secure. Emotionally I wasn't secure. I didn't have security. So while I was meeting these women that were more advanced than me, right, in every aspect, I'm trying to play catch up. And as a man, if you feel like you can't provide and protect, you don't feel like a man, right?
Yeah, it's true.
So I need to feel like I can pour into you. Much as they were great women, I couldn't bring something to the table that helped me feel secure about myself. So there wasn't anything wrong with them. I just couldn't deliver and be at that place where I felt secure to take it to another level, to go to a next level. So I never really tried to go to that next level because I just was never there. It never clicked for me. It never really registered for me to make me be like, and again, it had nothing to do with them. It had everything to do with me trying to figure out myself, what my purpose was in life. And that's what I was suffering with. What is my purpose? What am I supposed to be doing? Where do I go from here? What's my direction? And, again, during that time, I didn't really have God in my life to understand that. I didn't have God. I didn't have that I didn't have my pastor into my life at that time to kind of tell me, this is what men do. You're a male, but this is what men do.
Men do.
And I didn't get it. I didn't understand. I thought men just, do what men do.
No, yeah, of course, because obviously if you need to see an example, and without seeing an example, you can only go by what you've seen around you. So it makes sense.
Yes.
Okay, so 2 6-year relationships, quite a long time actually. That's quite a long time. I got asked a Q question. Why did you not marry either of them?
I wasn't ready. Right.
Okay.
I've never seen marriage in my family. I've never seen happily married. So I wanted, that means a lot to me, and I don't want to just do something just to do it. Anything worth doing is worth overdoing it. So I'm an overdoer. So if I wanted to be married, I need to be ready. you know, because
Mm.
I don't want, for me, it's forever.
Yeah.
It's forever, you know, and I don't think it's, and I didn't think I had the capacity to be married.
Ooh, what does that mean? Capacity.
Like, I don't think I had enough, like, love in my heart, forgiveness in my heart. I didn't think
Mm.
I had enough, like, you know, I suffered from unforgiveness. I suffered from insecurity. I suffered from not understanding what my purpose is. So I'm emotionally constipated because I have all of these things going on, and I'm
Yeah.
not understanding. Like, so I can't give you love because I don't love me.
Mm.
So I can't give you something that I can't give
I don't
myself.
have. Mm-hmm.
So I don't have the capacity to love you because I can't love myself, because I'm emotionally constipated with so many different things.
Yeah.
You know, so as much as they were great, I was like, you know, and I know this may sound cliche, but I would tell them, it ain't you. Trust me, it's me. And I don't want to
Mm.
ruin your life because I know it's going to come a point when it hits me, I'm going to be out that door. You know, and you may not understand why. Why did you leave? I did everything. So instead of going there, let me try to figure it out first.
Mm.
So that's why.
No, I mean that makes a lot of sense. I mean, obviously for us men as well, especially when you know, like obviously you're not fully complete, or at least you're not complete enough, and not just in all aspects. Like you said, you know, as men, we want to make sure we're financially secure. We want to make sure that like mentally, we feel our strongest. To handle some of the charges and the tribulations that are gonna come. And I think this is one of the things that I'm starting to really like talk about on YouTube quite a bit, is that, and I think I got beaten up for this, but like, because everyone asked me, you've never been married, how do you know? But like, as a man, there's a role you have to play, and I
Yes.
don't think people fully really understand that. It, as a man, there's a huge role you've got to play, which is, we talk about these three P's: protection, provision, and being a priest of your home. But when you take that role very seriously, you don't realize the impact that you have, not just for your family, it's generational.
Yes.
So if I'm not doing my job correctly, I don't take my role seriously as a man and play that role correctly, everybody suffers.
Yes.
Everybody,
Yes.
and it won't just be this family, it'll be families around us, it'll be generations after me, who will suffer too, because like you said yourself, like you're now having to undo some of the things that you saw with your father not even being there.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean. So as a man, your role, first and foremost, coming into maturity emotionally, coming into maturity financially as well, being stable. Because one of the things that's hard for us as men is that we find it very difficult to operate long term when we haven't financially stabilized ourselves. We could date for years, but if you ask us to marry, we are thinking already about, can we afford the cost of
Yes.
marriage, in terms of providing fully for my family and etc. Right? So there's just like that aspect of being a man, and then that whole emotional maturity also plays into protection as well, because now I've got to think about, how do I protect you by first and foremost knowing who I am and knowing how to handle situations correctly, so things don't go AWOL and break down, right? Because if we get married, we got one shot. There is
Yeah.
no exit. Whereas
Yeah.
in a relationship, we can kind of just like, we have an argument, we go about our business, we're going to make up. But in a marriage, it's like, for us as men, the way we think about it is, I've got one shot. I need to get this right. I need to make sure it's the right person. And I also need to make sure as well that I can minimize the risks by making sure that I'm up to scratch as much as possible. And if I don't feel that, I'm not getting married. And I think sometimes women don't understand that. So they might ask the question, well, you might have done 6 years. Well, then why would you carry on? It's like, when it comes to marriage, the way we think about it in our heads, it's slightly different to how we think about relationships. We understand that it's a long time, and it's a indefinite, rather than just being in a relationship. So I don't know if you
Yeah.
have anything to kind of contribute to that, sir.
No, no, I agree 1,000%. And you know what happens too, especially when you're a young man, you don't really get directions, right? Like, you
Yeah.
don't get instructions. You know, with young ladies, they're like, don't eat like, I mean, don't stand like this, don't sit like this, don't walk like this, don't talk like this. As young men, you're not given that. You watch, if you have your dad around, you watch what he does. If he
Does.
grabs a tool belt, you grab a tool belt. If he grabs beer, you grab soda, right? So you watch what he does. So now when it comes down to going to that next level, sometimes we're still trying to figure it out. right? We know what it looks like. We may see it in the family, but like you said, we don't really have those. We we don't play house.
Yeah.
Right? We don't have
Yeah.
dolls. We don't play house. We don't do that. So when a man is like, this is what I want to do, men have to think in order, right?
Yeah.
It has to be that way. And we can't, and for us, we're not trying to figure it out when we're in the middle of it. That's just not what we do. We need to have it, before we get there. We need to understand what it is before we get there. We don't need to have everything in order, but we need to have the main things in order.
In order.
And those things matter, because you're going to get a half-baked cake if he's in there and you're like, well, just take it out the oven. The outside may look good, but you stick the knife in there and the inside ain't done. And then you're going to wonder why it don't taste the same. It doesn't come out the same. He's not ready yet. But when a man is ready, he's ready.
It doesn't, and that's also a very interesting thing as well. Like, it doesn't take us, when we're ready, it doesn't take us long to decipher. I think I guess that's the phenom of this whole situation, is that when you're ready, these things don't take long.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. It clicks to us. Clicks to us. We're like, I got it. Because men are logical, right? Like, so things have to make sense to us, right? Like you have to make it make sense.
Yeah.
So for us in our life, when it comes out, and again, the woman could be amazing. The woman could be an amazing woman, and she could provide for so much. She could be so much, and she can do so much. But as a man, we have to feel like we're ready. We have to feel there, or it brings out our insecurities. It reveals it. We're going to feel insecure. And then instead of arguing about what the main thing is, we're arguing about something stupid that just doesn't make sense. So it's important that he is there mentally, because, we internalize things. So we may not express it. We may not say it out loud, but inside we're like, no, I'm not ready. Can't do this. I'm not there. But we won't say it. We just won't. That's just not how we're built.
Word. Yeah, no, I definitely 100% agree that. And I talked to my audience about this as well. I think the last relationship I was in, like, I got to a point, and I would say I'm intentional, but it got, and I that was my thought was get married and everything like that. But then it's like, it got through the halfway relationship, and then I'm just seeing things that were just mad. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, okay, so I'm in my head, I'm like, okay, do you know what? If this doesn't change, I don't know how I'm going to do this. But then I haven't quit the relationship just as yet. I'm always trying to give it a bit more time. I'm trying to see where it's going to go. But obviously time is relative and it's perspective wise. So she's seen it going, what's taking you so long to make a decision? And even to be honest, until she asked me the question, I kind of knew, but I didn't know, because I hadn't really said it to myself. And then when she asked me, and that's when it kind of dawned on me, I was like, no, you're right. I am kind of dragging my feet a little bit on this, because I'm seeing X, Y, and Z, and it's not in order. And if it's not in order, I cannot progress forward. And she's like, why didn't you just tell me that? I was like, I don't know. I just, in my head, I'm almost trying to give it a bit of time, but then at the same time, also too, I think, like you said, I'm internalizing the thoughts. And sometimes you think, you think that if I voice it now, everything ends. But like, maybe I don't need to end it just yet. Maybe I can do some things to change it. You know what I mean? In your head, you're almost, because as a man, you're trying to figure out things and try to bring solutions. You know what I mean? You don't want to feel like you quit too early. You want to feel like you've actually put in effort and time. And I know that, again, makes sense for you as well.
Yes. No, it definitely does. And, women are more expressive. They're more expressive. They talk about things and, to their girlfriends. And even when men are around other men, we converse differently. Our conversations is different. We're not so in details with things. As men, we just a few words we can understand, or just a shaking of our heads we can understand, and we're like, yeah, you too, yeah, me too, and we're not even saying a lot. So now we get around a woman that is very eloquent on how she speaks and how she expresses herself, and sometimes it can be a little intimidating. right? Like sometimes it can be a little hard because she knows what she wants and she's ready, and you know it's a good woman and she's doing everything. There's not anything wrong with what she's doing, and where she's at in her life is purposeful, is intentional, but you're still trying to figure it out, right? You're still trying to figure it out, and as men, you know, we need to know that we know that we know. You know what I mean? And you can't really explain that. You just know that you know that you know, right? Like, it's like you ever walked inside a department store and you're looking for a certain outfit, you're looking for something, and the salesperson is like, what are you looking for? You're like, I don't know yet. What's the color? I don't know yet. What style? I don't know yet. But you walk in there and you be like, that's it. That's it right there. I couldn't tell you. I couldn't describe it. I couldn't give you the color, but I knew it. And I knew it was this one at that time. I don't even need to try it on. This is it right here. This is the time, this is the person, and this is the purpose of it. You know, that's, as men, that's how it is for us. We just know when we walk in. We know when it's time, and we know when it's that person.
That's 100. So then what would you say then if, like, somebody said, okay, so you've been in 2 6-year relationships. The first one, we'll cancel that one. The second one, though, if you knew that maybe 2 years or 3 years in, that, you know what, I wasn't in the right frame of mode of mind, why didn't you just cut it off earlier? Why 6 years? What would you say?
Because I thought I was going to get it together, right? I thought it was just a matter of time before I get it together. But I was so pouring into her that I wasn't pouring into me, right? Okay. So now I'm sitting there trying to figure it out, but yet I'm trying to help her. I'm trying to help navigate her, not realizing, and it's not like she wasn't pouring into me, but I needed to take a step back out of that and fix me and get myself right, right? You know, my pastor used to say, like, if you don't have the money, then you shouldn't be dating, right? Like, if you don't have it, you shouldn't be dating. You know, and it's not like I didn't have the money, you know, but I wasn't financially in a good place to be able to go to that next level. I can date you, you know, I can't marry, I can't marry you because the levels is different up here. The air is different up here. It's different when you come here. So I know that there's a different level. You know, when the standards and the expectation change, so does the work, so does the effort. And I didn't have it. I didn't have it to provide for this person. I could be a protector, but I couldn't be a provider. Couldn't provide for this person. I don't know what would have happened. You know, so I just knew I wasn't there yet. I knew financially I wasn't there. I knew I still have a lot of things that I needed to clean up. I wasn't there yet, you know, and I never like to bring somebody into a space with me that I know I'm not ready for, you know, because they're going to suffer, because I'll shut down.
No, that's real, man. That's real. And definitely I love that as well. And I love this discourse because I think it's so important as well when it comes to maybe women understanding our mindset. You know, because sometimes it will look like from the outside, he just, you know, he just wasted somebody's time, or he's not serious, or, like, you know what I mean? And there's mechanisms in the way that we think. Yes. You know, there's a way that we think in terms of, like, what you just explained. I totally get what you're saying. Like, I actually understand what you're saying. Yeah. But for women, they won't necessarily always understand where we're coming from. Like, for instance, when you're saying, obviously, I thought it would come together. I've been there, so I know exactly what you're talking about. When you're in a situation where you think it's going to come together and you're spending more and more time, but you can't get married because you're like, I need to have X, Y, and Z in place. I need to get it sorted because it's the way that we uphold marriage. Yes. And this is why it's so important, and like you're saying as well, for us as men to mature in those areas, because once we do, we just move with speed, which is why sometimes women will see us 1 minute with them, and we're like, he took so long to make a decision. And then in a year or so down the line, he's married. It's like, what the hell? And it's not like we hate you or anything. It's not that. But what we're talking about here is explanation in terms of the fact that the mindset has shifted for that particular individual.
Yes.
What was needed has come into play. The resources, whether it's mentally, emotionally, financially, they've come into play, and that then means now, boom, you can make that decision as well. So it can sometimes be unfortunate. You meet us at a certain level, but yeah, it does happen like that, you know.
Yeah. I rather,
Yeah.
you know, I would, because you know the next thing is if you do get married and you do bring somebody into your world again, it's not, well, I guess divorce is easier now, but whatever. You know, people get divorced every other day, but you know, when you are serious about marriage and it means a lot to you, you know, you never want to hear, then why did you do it if you wasn't ready? Because all you can say now is, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right. You know, and you know when you're not ready. You know when you're not there. And sometimes we do things just to do it. Sometimes we put ourselves in a position, you know, and you convince yourself to do these things. You convince yourself to do something you know you shouldn't do, and talk yourself out of something that you should do. You know, and it's one of those things where, you know, I didn't want to put somebody in that space, because then now I'm being selfish. And then no, from an outside perspective, it may look selfish to keep somebody around, right, for those that amount of years, but to now join our lives together, right, join our finances together, join so many things together, and now get to that point a year later saying, you know, I really want to do this. After she committed her whole life and her whole everything, that's a different space, man. And I would never want to put somebody through that. Never.
I hear that. So then what takes you on to Ready to Love? What takes you on to Ready to Love?
You know, again, being new to Florida, you know, being in a new space, you know, dating in Florida is different than dating in New York.
Oh, talk to me about this. What do you mean? What's the difference?
You know, Florida is a perception, right? Like
Okay.
it's sunny, it's beautiful, you know, so now you have to a lot of times be in a certain perception. This goes for men and women, because I hear women say this all the time, right? As well. So you're in a perception, but that's not really the reality of it sometimes, right? And sometimes you're dating people that are not living, they're living in a world of perception, not reality. And then by the time they're representative, and by the time you get to know them, then you're like, wow, that's not who you are as a person, you know? So, and, you know, and in New York, you know, rent is so high, things are so high that you have to do it together.
You ain't got a choice.
You can't afford not,
Yeah.
you know, to try to do it on your own. So when you in it, a lot of times you in it, because we can't afford not to.
Okay.
So it kind of forces you sometimes to move that way, to navigate that way. Like even when times is hard, we're like, we're gonna work this out. We're gonna make this happen, right? And we can't fake the funk. Florida's a little different. You know, it's like bad Wi-Fi. It just didn't connect. And when it doesn't connect, nothing works. You know, so it was an adjustment to me. You know, it's adjustment trying to find a woman that has that mindset of saying, I'm intentional, this is what I want, and this is who I am, right? Good, bad, or indifferent. You know, this isn't who I pretend to be. This is not who I'm going to be a year from now. This is who I am now. And for me personally, if I meet someone that way, I have no problem meeting you there. Right? You know, because my pastor used to always say this. He would always say, it's funny that we want people to be patient with us, but we're not patient with them. So I have no problem meeting somebody there, because I need them to meet me there too. There's things about me that I need to work on, and I need us to meet each other. So the things that you may be lacking, I can provide. And the things that I may be lacking, you can provide. But we have to dance. Right? We have to dance. We can't skip steps. We can't miss steps. Don't tell me you know how to dance and we get on the dance floor and you like, that's not what I do. So it's an adjustment for me. So that's where Ready to Love came at. I
Okay.
wanted to.
Did they reach out to you or did you apply?
They reached out to me.
Okay. Cool.
They reached out to me, and and that was my opportunity to meet, women, like-minded women that were looking for the same thing on the same page. So I thought it was a great opportunity to get on there.
Love that. So obviously, had you watched any of the Ready to Love shows previously? Were you aware of the show?
Honestly, I wasn't. I watched the first season. I watched 3 episodes.
Okay.
But I stopped watching it because I didn't want to grab anybody's energy. I didn't want to watch it and then be like, this is who I want to be. This is the person. Because, trying to stay on, I was like, I just wanted to be authentic. I want to be organic. I wanted to be me. I wanted to bring my own energy. So I understood what was the concept, and that's all I needed.
Okay, that's fair enough. And so obviously when you got onto the show, that first mixer. Talk to us a little bit about what you experienced in that mixer. I know the first day is always an interesting day. I know you had to leave a little bit early, but what was your experience of the mixer and meeting the new people around you?
It was a lot. It was speed dating. It was literally going from one woman to another woman, and you don't really get a chance to really talk to them on that level. So you have the women, you have the men, and then you have the cameras. And then you have the heat, and then you have more heat. And everyone is half naked, right? Yep. So you're trying to block things out. And it was hard trying to block everything out at the same time while trying to get to know someone. And then it has to happen fast. You got to have the right questions, the right things, and to go off of it. So for me, it was a different space. It brought me back to the club for a little bit, It's been a long time since I've been to the club.
I hear you.
So that's what it felt like. It was a lot, I think for everyone.
So for you, obviously, being in amongst that environment as well, around obviously having to try and navigate conversations with everybody as well, who would you say, if any, did you gravitate towards, in terms of the ladies, who okay, let me put it this way, who first caught your eye?
I think, I can honestly say when I walked in, I saw beautiful women. I saw everyone looked at like beautiful. And I think the part that I kind of enjoyed more of everything is everyone had their own style, right? Everyone had their own style of like clothing and everything. And, I got a chance to speak to Brandy. I got a chance to speak to Trinika. I got a chance to speak to Sharice. I got a chance to speak to everyone. But again, everything was brief, But when I walked in, I was excited because I saw beautiful women, right? I saw beautiful women, and I was like, but I also know there was more than that. So, you don't want a pretty container with no content, right? So it was, after seeing the beauty, now let's see what's in it, right? Like what's in the box, So the two women that I mentioned, I actually, I love their energy. I love speaking to them. I love, they made me feel welcome. My love language is words of affirmation. So they were giving me that words of affirmation, and it felt great, and my thought process was like, oh yeah, I'm going to continue and get to know everyone else too. But that never happened. So everyone in there had their own style that I was like, wow. So that was cool.
You mentioned earlier on as well about the fact that the difficulty in terms of people being half naked. I didn't think it was going to be a difficulty for people, but what was it much? Did it feel like it made it a bit more? What was the experience like for you then? Because in that environment, obviously, like you said, people are, we're in our holiday beach season kind of clothing. You know what I mean? Like, did that change the atmosphere for you in terms of going into the show?
Yeah, because as a man, and I guess women too, the lust of it sometimes, you don't want to get so caught up on how people look, you know, and getting caught up with you're looking at a woman's body and you forget to kind of focus on the important thing. Of course, it's amazing to see, you know, the beautiful body. As men, we're visual, right? So we
Yeah,
enjoy it.
absolutely.
But at the same time, you know, it's when I also say naked, I don't even mean physical either. We were like naked as in vulnerable, right? Like naked as in we got to now put ourselves out there. So it was a lot trying to look at beautiful women and now concentrate on, okay, I need to go deeper. I need to have deeper conversation. I need to find that conversation, you know, and sometimes you don't want those two to cross, right? That's why they say like sex sometimes could get things a little bit muddy, you know, so you try not to go there because sometimes it could change how you go about conversation. And that's really what it was. And again, I you know, what man doesn't want to see beautiful women? So I'm not even saying it like that, you know, so that's a beautiful thing. But it's once you get there, now you got to kind of pivot from that. You see it, move on, right? Ask questions, dig deeper. And then you see another beautiful woman with a nice outfit, catch it, move on, pivot. You know, so there was a lot of pivoting.
I hear that. I heard that. I mean, okay. So obviously, you mentioned Brandy and Trinica. Were they the ones that actually caught your eye? Like, just you know, man to man. You know, were they the ones that caught your eye the most physically?
Yeah, they're the ones that I saw and we spoke and got into deep conversation, right?
Okay.
So they're the ones that actually beautiful. They looked at beautiful. Trinica was actually the first young lady that I met. Brandy was the second one that I actually got a chance to speak to, whatever. So everyone had their own style, which I thought was like, I'm big on style. I'm big on presentation. And it was so cool to watch everyone kind of be different and come out with their own style, right? So you saw beautiful bodies, but you saw style to it. No one just came with like a two-piece, like, here I am, right? So some were covered up with style. Some were more exposed with style. And that's the thing that more intrigued me, was watching people. And then we got a chance to kind of like sit around the pool before I had to leave. I got a chance to watch people and see their style. Like, damn, I like the way you put that together. And I was telling them, yeah, I like the way you put that together. I like the way you put that together. That, to me, that's something I look at, how somebody puts something together.
Okay. Like a bit of fashion.
Yeah, I love that.
Okay.
Put some time to work.
Okay. Okay. So then who's that? Okay. So physically, whose style, Karen? I'm gonna until you answer this question, I'm not gonna go from it. Who caught your eye? I'm talking about when you. This is not even a big thing. It's just like literally, we're just talking about who just caught your eye immediately. Like who you thought, wow, you're just stunning. You know what I mean? Like it's just just who caught your eye. Who did you see was you're stunning. Just on an eye look level, without going deep into conversation, who captured your eye?
I didn't get a chance to see everybody. That's the funny thing about it too. Like,
okay, fair enough.
Yeah, like I didn't get a chance to see everybody, and it's so funny when I came back for other things. I said that like, wow, I didn't get a chance to see you. I didn't see this person. I didn't see this person. So I kind of came in and had to get out before I even got a chance to even see people. I saw the guys, of course, because we all came in at the same, and I'm not guys, but I didn't get a chance to see everybody, and that was the part that was disappointing to me. So I'm kind of naming the people I got a chance to see. I got a chance to see Trinica. I got a chance to see Brandy. I got a chance to see Sharice. I got a chance to see Looney. So I got a chance to see them. But everyone else, by the time I got in, I was out.
So once you saw everybody, who did you think?
I thought
just as an eye.
So let me say this, right? I loved watching everyone transition from the pool to their dress up, right? So people like April, people like Kayla, people like Jamala, people like forgetting names right now. Damn, I'm forgetting names. Sorry.
That's right. That's right. I'm trying to think my names. There was Shanika. There was Brandy. There was Kadian. There was Jamala. There was Kayla. There was Sharice. There was Shakira.
Yes.
And I'm sure it's probably one more.
So to add those
and
two.
Dominica.
Yes, to add those two. Shakira and Sharice. Like I've gotten a chance to watch them and their styles and to actually even speak to them too. And it gave me I love their style. Let me just say that. So when you ask me about the looks, I love the way they all looked. And I also love them, like what I appreciate a lot about them too is that it didn't just come with this. So, you know, as for a man, especially at a certain stage in his life, when you get a chance to see a woman, but you get a chance to see a woman, you have a different look. So the women that I just named physically, I thought they were beautiful, right? And I love their style, right? I love what they wore at the white party, you know, like, and, you know, white, we can all look the same. So watching all of them come with style, from Sharice to Shakira to Kayla to Jamala to April, like all of them came with their own style, and I was like, wow, I missed that. Honestly, while I was watching the show, I was like, I missed that. I didn't get a chance to see that. Right?
Okay.
You know, I mean, I didn't get a chance to see them all at the pool party.
That's what I said. Okay, so when you see that, let me answer it.
Okay.
If I just go on, just glance, just if I see the person, if I just see the group, right, and I just see a bunch of women, right. So let's say I see all the women. I've seen obviously on the show now, right. So I see them and I go, who out of them would be the first one I would be drawn to? Would be Kayla. Simple, straightforward. That just as an eye level, it literally be Kayla. That as an instant, I'll be like, yeah, that's a bit of me. So I'm saying for you on an eye level, just on the eye level, no dress code. No, of course that all in place, but who is it that you looked at just on the eye level, whether it was later on or whether it's in the beginning? Who is it that just kind of was like, yeah, that's just a bit of me, you know, without going deep, just eye level.
I think there was 5 of them.
5.
I like different flavors.
Hey!
Forgive me.
Oh my days!
I think all 5 of them, I was like, wow.
All right, so top one. All right, okay, let's go from the number one. Number one, who's number one?
I don't know if I can do that. I don't know if I can do that.
How can you not do it? One of them is speaking to you.
What do you mean?
One of them speaks to you more than the others.
I think I can't even name one of them, to be honest with you. Like literally, honestly, as I was watching it, I was like, ooh, right? So they all had different. I don't know if I would take one over the other. To be honest with you,
but it's just an eye thing. It's just a, you know what I mean? It's just a immediate pop. No, you're not thinking about dating. You're not thinking about anything else. You're just seeing them and going, that's a bit of me.
Okay. All of them.
Oh.
Okay. I would say.
You're killing me.
Can I?
Listen, I think all of them are beautiful. I think
a top 3. Can I give a top? Can I?
If you give a top 3, I want the person at the top. If you give a top 3, I want the person at the top. That's what I'm saying. You know what I mean?
I don't know if I could do that. I don't know if I could.
Why not? Wait. Sorry. Hold on. Without obviously spilling any beans, are you dating someone?
Oh no. No,
Oh,
no.
then you're free to answer this question. You answer as if you're dating someone from the show and you don't want to mess up your business. If you're not dating
No.
anybody, you are free to say it. So we need top three, and who's at the top of the Christmas tree? I need that one, Calvin. There is one out of the people that are on the show, the women on the show. I get it. You like all of them. Listen, I think Kelly's beautiful. I think Jamala's beautiful. I think Cherie's beautiful. In fact, I think the whole of them are beautiful. But the whole point is, there's one that strikes me, hits me straight away. I'm like, oh yeah, you. So I'm asking, which one is it? You can give a top three, but who's the top one?
See, I honestly, I don't have it. I really don't. As you're sitting here and you're saying this to me, I'm literally sitting here trying to think of that, right? Like, I'm literally sitting here trying to think of one, and I'm like, it's like going around for me. I don't see, there wasn't one of them that I sat back and said, this one was better than this one, right?
Okay.
Like, this one was better than this one. You know, the one thing I could say is, okay, I like this person in this outfit better than I like it in this outfit, right?
Okay, whose outfit was top?
I think Jamala came in the white party with a really nice outfit. I loved her outfit, right? I thought her outfit was killing it. Kayla came in with an outfit. I think she went on a date with Randy, and I thought it was really good. April, I loved her hats. I loved her style. And Shakira, I loved her. Like, see what you're doing?
I'm not doing anything. I am watching you in intrigue. I'm watching you in intrigue. I'm like, why can't you give a top one? That's what I want to know. Now I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued.
You know what it is? Because I don't see women. I don't do that anymore. Like, I don't. And when I say I don't do that, I meant, like, I may see a woman and I think she's attractive.
Yeah.
But then it changes for me. It can change for me quickly, because I've seen pretty women that immediately lost that value for me. They no longer look pretty for me over something you said or something you did. So that's kind of how my mindset works, right? My mindset, I no longer see that attraction anymore, right? And that also can happen in a physical sense, sex-wise, right? Where I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh, she can get it. And then she says something and I'm like, immediately I lost it, right? And she doesn't, so for a person, they may look at it and be like, yo, she's bad. She doesn't look the same to me anymore. I'm like, so I can't.
Because you know some information.
Huh?
Because you started to get to know her. You know that's not. Okay, but okay. Let's say you don't know them. That's what I'm trying to say to you. You don't know them. You see them. Who's the one did it?
You know what? I don't know if I can, because I do know them, because I did see them, because I did, I can only tell you the people that I walked in and I spoke to, right? I can tell you the people I find attractive, but I can't tell you who would be the number one person on my list. I can't tell you that, right? Because I don't really have that. I don't really have that one is better than the other, right? Like, I don't have that thought process. My brain doesn't operate on this person can get it more than this person. Like, my brain doesn't operate that way, right? It operates in the sense to say, she's beautiful, right? And I walked in and I saw, I can give you 5 that immediately caught my attention. Right? And it was like, whoa, right? Immediately. And then I saw another one that immediately caught my attention. Right? Have you ever watched videos of, like, girls that's dancing, or videos of like a show, and you see 3 beautiful women and you're like,
all baddies?
Anyone? It ain't always one more than the other. Sometimes it happens. I get it.
Yeah.
But sometimes I'm like, anyone. Anyone. I get it. I understand.
I don't know. I mean, I hear what you're saying, but I don't agree with it, but I hear what you're saying. You know what I mean? Okay. All right. You know what? So obviously, um, you get obviously you only managed to spend a short amount of time, obviously, on the show, before you had to leave for a family emergency, um, but you know, then obviously, I don't know if did you manage to who have you kept in contact with after leaving the show? Who have you managed to keep in contact with?
Actually, almost everyone. Guys and the guys and the ladies. I will say during the whole process of me having to leave the show, everyone was super supportive. With everything, even the producers and everyone else too. So I'm super thankful for that. People checked up on me to make sure that I'm good and all of that. So that's the one thing which made me keep a connection with people. So it allowed me to, of course now we're exchanging Instagram. Everyone is kind of like now exchanging information. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to do it on a personal level, that personal, the way everyone had a connection with each other. But we all got a chance to talk. We all got a chance to talk off camera, where I got a chance to meet people's real personality.
Yeah.
Who they really are when the cameras is off. And, I would probably say maybe 7, 8 people, that we got a chance to talk, or been on different platforms or watch their lives and things like that. So guys and girls, so I got a chance to really, which was a little bit more disappointing because I was like, damn, I missed this, right? Like I missed this interaction, the men's lounge and going out on dates with the women. So it's a bittersweet.
No, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah. I mean, what would you say? I mean, I know you was in a short time, but what would you say you learned being on Ready to Love? What did you in that short amount of time you were on there? What do you feel like you learned from that experience?
Being able to put myself in a situation that I normally don't do, right? Like I'm more of a private person. I don't really put my business out there a lot. If my social media is not a lot about a lot of my personal information. But I allowed myself to be vulnerable. I allowed myself to be out there. Although the experience was short, it allowed me to know that I'm not saying I would do a reality show again. Let me just make that clear. But I don't mind jumping to make myself uncomfortable to be in a situation that can possibly be good. That can lead to something good, So that's the thing I learned about myself, and it gave me an opportunity to learn a lot about other people, especially a lot about the cast. Like, I know a lot of people see what's put out there and it's, but I got a chance to see people's story, to hear people's story, man, and to watch people be vulnerable, watch people be in a space where it ain't easy. You know what I mean? Like, It ain't easy because people, once you put yourself out there, we give people the license to
critique.
Judge. And most people, they're going to critique hard, So to hear people's, a lot of people didn't get to hear my story that me and you are talking about now. And although we may be able to relate to it, some people can't, right? And when they can't, they like... they're gonna throw arrows to it.
Yeah.
And some people may view me as a, like you said, oh, you in 2 6-year relationships, you a player, so they can pick that apart, so no one got a chance to see that. So watching the cast members and watching them be vulnerable with their life and put certain things out there that is like personal. Like mine don't even compare to this. It's like, wow. Yeah, I give you a lot of credit. And those are the people I actually wanted to speak to. right?
Yeah.
That would do that. To do that, because for me, I want to give you your flowers. I want to be like, yo, that's deep. How are you feeling?
Mm.
So that's really what's going on.
After like watching the episodes have you watched all the episodes so far?
I'm almost done with four. I haven't
Okay,
finished.
that's fine. Yeah, four was the last one. That's the
Yeah.
latest one going out. So far watching the show, as you've watched Pit and Part, who would you date?
Coming back to that question again. um, I thought April was cool. I mean, I loved her personality. I love how in depth April was different. She was
Mm.
different. She brought a different. She brought a mature
I'll take that.
um, to it, whatever. And I'm in that stage in my life. I know Sharice was misunderstood with a lot of things. I can
Oh,
see your face.
does she misunderstood? Tell us. Do you think she was misunderstood?
I think so. I think
Mm-hmm.
I know somebody similar to her. That's why,
Okay.
right? I know someone similar to her with things, and because she reminds me of her, that's
Okay.
probably why with me, right? So I don't maybe misunderstood isn't the right word to
No, that's good.
everyone, but I know someone like her that I actually grew up with, right? Um, um, Jamala, she was, um, I like her. I think she's really cool. Um,
Mm.
I think she's deep. She gets deep with her when she's talking, right? So it shows me that she has experience, right, with
Mm.
certain things. Um, and I love Kayla's energy,
Mm-hmm.
right? So those, so they all had qualities that I find attractive in a woman, right?
Mm.
Like I find those are the things I look for in a woman. Someone that has experience, someone that can have in-depth conversation, because I am a very deep thinker when it comes down to
Mm.
things. And, you know, that's very mental stimulating for me. Um, I like people that have that young spunk,
Mm-hmm.
that can take me out of that comfort zone, and yeah, sometimes I think I'm misunderstood.
Mm. Why do you say that?
um, sometimes there's certain things that I don't really follow the crowd. I've never been the
Okay.
follow the crowd person. Not on purpose. I never really tried to go the other way. It's just that when most people are going left, I'm going right. When most people are doing this, I'm doing that. Because it's just always been that person. It ain't forced. It's just natural for me. you know.
Mm.
Um, so they all brought that different thing to the table, and those are the things I actually missed. The one-on-one dates, to be able to, again, the pool party, the mixed finger was so much that I didn't get a chance to peel back the layers,
Yeah.
be able to speak to everyone, and the camera shows what they show, but sometimes the conversation could be so much more in depth, and when I'm watching them do their live or their Facebook live or any interviews, or I'm watching their page, I'm like, damn, there's so much more that I missed, right? There's so much more that when you first see somebody, you already have a certain perception of them, and I'm
Mm.
like, damn, did I miss some? Like that's not what I'm getting from what I see. So that's the one thing I do regret, not getting a chance to be able to sit down and peel back the layers of, even if it doesn't turn anything, even if it didn't turn into anything romantic, just watching people's journey, I'm always intrigued by that.
Mm. Okay, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. So right now, are you single and you're dating?
Yeah, I'm single. I will say that I'm not out there pursuing. I'm not out
Okay.
there. I'm preparing myself for my queen.
Okay.
Right? So if I do see something, if I do see someone, I have no problem going after and pursuing it. I'm literally trying to take something from the show. I always try to take from experience to see what I need to take from that in order to bring it into the next thing. And I was like, although it was an unfortunate experience, I always believe in there's a reason why something happens, right?
Yeah.
Things happen, but things don't just happen. So during this process of that, I'm trying to sit still and trying to understand what God is trying to tell me, right? And I think what I get from that is that I need to be patient. I think, right, that I need to be patient because, this may not be the thing, but this is the thing that's going to get me to the thing. And the person I'm going to need to be with, I'm going to need to be patient with them. Right? Because we all need to be patient with everybody, don't get me wrong, but I may need an extra dose of patience. Right? I think I'm trying to strengthen that aspect of my life, to be patient with people, and that's what I'm taking from that experience at this point.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right, cool. I like that. So, for you yourself at the moment, is there anything that you're doing at the moment that you would love our support? You'd love for us to get behind? Love for us to bring more attention to?
Yes, thank you for this opportunity. I'm actually putting together a forum called King's Talk at the King's Table. Similar to us having this dialogue with men. I'm doing that, right? Like a place where men can talk freely, and a safe space where we can have these conversations and we can talk about accountability. We can talk about being what our place is, what our role is as men. Similar to what you mentioned earlier, I do believe in gender roles, and it isn't gender roles as in what the world says, but what works in your dynamics of your relationship, right? And men holding other men accountable, right? And us being in our rightful place and what we're supposed to be doing as men. Instead of calling yourself a king, you need to act like a king. You need to be a king. You don't get the title, because getting the title without acting it is being entitled. So that's the angle that I want to capture, and just us being vulnerable as men, sharing these stories about why we do the things that we do and how we can get out of that, how we can change that generational curse, and how we can support each other. So, and it's not, even though it's a table for men, it's women that's needed in that space. Needed in that space. So important.
I like that. I like that. I think us men do need a safe space to be able to talk and be able to, be free and talk about some things amongst men. Things that us as men, we need to, be able to discuss in private. They say, because not every man is comfortable talking, all men stuff in front of the opposite sex. So yeah, we need the safe spaces where men can just chop it up and be free to discuss how they feel. Whether that's correction, whether that's reproof, whether that's rebuke, whether that's teaching, whether that's growth, whether that is just sharing their hearts, whatever it is. But and
change the dynamics of certain things we've learned that wasn't really the right way, right? In life, man up. We've all heard that.
We have indeed.
It's like, nah, we have to redefine that. We have to change what that means. Being a man, but also being comfortable, being vulnerable. That's where the real strength comes in at. So it's kind of like just kind of changing the way we go about doing things and how we live in our life. And, sometimes we get the wrong information and we just keep using it because that's all we know. But, we don't need to be strong in our wrong.
No, that's real. That's real. All right, well, Calvin, thank you, man. I appreciate, the time you've taken out of your day to talk to myself, and just free the realness and just talk about your life and growing. And like I said, there's a beautiful testimony that you've given us as well in terms of your transition from, being in a place where you could be angry, but then moving to a place where you can forgive. And make the most of your life as well going forward. So really do appreciate that, and we want to see more testimonies like this as well. So if you now bring in kings to the table, then bro, listen, we're more for it, and we celebrate you, especially as a fellow believer. It's good to see you as well, and celebrate together and talk together and just vibe. So thank you again once more for honoring the call to come on here. We appreciate it big time.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate the platform to allow me to be vulnerable, that safe space. I felt like we was just two brothers just talking. So I thank you for that opportunity. I thank you for, allowing me to speak freely. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
No problem, Calvin. Audience members, it's been a pleasure. Listen, you know what? We're just starting. And I see a few people in the chat as well who are from the show as well. I appreciate those of you who were in there. I saw Jamala. I saw she was supporting big time, to be honest. Big time.
Okay, bye.
Yeah. Why are you laughing? Oh, my bad. My bad. Jamala, my bad. I saw Jamala in there. I saw Kayla come up too as well. She even said, I love you, you know what I'm saying? I ain't saying it mean nothing, okay? It's just that he couldn't answer the question who's on the top. So now I'm making my own deductions. But it is what it is.
They're both beautiful women inside of
don't worry. Don't worry about that, sir. Listen, audience, it's been amazing. It's been great. We're going to see you again very, very soon. And we'll chop it up once more again. Listen, don't do anything I wouldn't do, audience members. Appreciate you guys. And Calvin, again, thank you so